Every time I hear a conservative talk about President Obama being a racist, it comes to the conclusion that you're delusional. President Obama's vice president is white. His Secretary of State is a white woman. Many of his cabinet members range from black, Hispanic, Asian American, woman, many religions, a whole background of different ideas. But every time I hear a conservative take the talking points of Fox News, Rush Limbaugh, and now Glenn Beck, I think to myself, conservatism is not only a thought, but a voice. Thank you for watching me on YouTube. Glenn Beck, he has a 5 o'clock program on Fox News. Recently on Fox and Friends, he sat on the couch and declared that President Obama is a racist. He said that President Obama has a deep resentment for white people. The Color of Change founder, Van Jones, and many of his supporters, along with Media Matters for America, gathered up enough support to boycott his network. Many of the advertisers had pulled from Glenn Beck's program. And now Glenn Beck is fighting back against Media Matters and Van Jones by throwing out this little hit piece about Van Jones and his ties to many of the other community organizing groups in America. And many of the conservatives are trying to defend Glenn Beck. Even Bill O'Reilly and Sean Hannity are nervous about this because if Glenn Beck is the target of Color of Change, who will be the next victim? Or the next target in that case? Sometimes I gotta break the ice here when I talk about issues. Normally I feel kind of nervous when I go on these slippery slopes talking about Fox News. I mean, it's America's most watched network. However, they never won an Emmy for any equality in journalism. Although they can pull many of the viewers, which are mostly conservative viewers, they do have a strong liberal viewing, and they do have the independent viewers. However, every time I listen to the same talking points from Bill O'Reilly all the way to Greta Van Susteren, which is the prime time, I think to myself, what really goes on in that organization? Is that news organization sabotaging the Democratic Party or trying to deliberately fail President Obama? As Rush Limbaugh said it best, I hope he fails. As Senator Jim DeMint of South Carolina said, this will be his Waterloo. As many of the conservatives who've been posting these nasty comments on the bottom of my page, many of them still think to this day that President Obama is either a racist, he's not a natural born citizen, and he is a socialist. Again, I say this to many of my conservative viewers. There are many people who think before they say something. And many of my conservative thinkers understand that they do not agree with President Obama's policies, but they respect him as a man. Now, the conservatives with a voice, they're offensive, they're disruptive, they're discouraging, they're anti-American. I tried to tell you that I lean left of center, but I'm an independent voter. Now, with the recent town hall protest against the Democratic senators and the Democratic congressmen, I think to myself that this is just a deliberate ploy to get some noise time on Fox News. Many of these people who've been shouting at Senator Arlen Specter of Pennsylvania or Senator Claire McCaskill of Missouri, they got airplay on Fox News. And now Glenn Beck had his advertisers pulled because of his outrageous comments. Is it possible that Fox News is on Color of Change and Media Matters hit list? Because ever so often I hear the same stuff come out of Sean Hannity, Bill O'Reilly, Greta Van Susteren, Bret Baier, or even Geraldo Rivera. I mean, I hear all this same old stuff. And none of it is sticking to many of the minds of independents, but it's sticking to the mind of the conservatives. Many of these conservative viewers think that Saddam Hussein was responsible for 9/11. Many of them think that President Obama's healthcare reform will raise their taxes. And all this is coming from Fox News. Now, MSNBC leans more to the left, and CNN is trying to be like Fox. But one thing about it is, it's corporate-owned media. Regardless of what views you believe these networks hold, it's about money. It's about ratings. It's about how controversial you can be. And Glenn Beck is one of the most controversial of them all. With him being pulled from many of the advertising revenue, it may give Fox News a sign that many of the people who've been watching their programs are getting tired of this heated rhetoric. Now, I hope Color of Change go after some of these commentators, because it's really about time to think before we say something. You know, honestly, even I gotta agree to some extent. You know, this is just an honest opinion, and I'm calling it like I see it. Glenn Beck does deserve his advertisers to be pulled, because he said so many outrageous things. It led to 3 killings this year by white supremacists. So Glenn Beck, I'm not calling you a racist, but I'm calling you a damn fool, because you say so many goddamn things and it's unbearable. Glenn Beck, tone it down. Maybe you may get your advertisers back, but with the Color of Change putting pressure on Fox News, maybe you might lose your 5 o'clock slot. Who knows?